Financial numbers to track what they don't teach you in school and your report card in real life. Brandon Gentile here. Why do you think you aren't taught about money in school? The elites purposely do not teach you about money. Otherwise, they would have too much competition. The General Education Board, please go look at some research. Go check out how the elites, the globalists, the robber barons, industrialists of the day back around the turn of the 20th century changed the schooling so that people would become worker bees and they would become just a conveyor belt machine to pump out what the entrepreneurs wanted. They didn't want competition. The formal education system has been documented as being a conveyor belt and just memorization. And that's why we don't learn anything. We don't learn critical thinking. We don't learn about money. We don't learn about anything really that important, to be quite honest. I know it's going to be a controversial topic, but so be it. I'm a product of that myself. I was in school, went to college, graduated from Michigan State, and I've learned 10 times more than I ever even came close to in all my years of school. In the 15 or 18 years of school, I learned way more, 10 times as much, just in the last 8 to 10 years of my own study than I did in college because I didn't care. A lot of it I didn't care. Why am I learning about underwater basket weaving, and why am I learning about molecular biology when I don't need that? Most people don't need that. Only 1% of people that want to do that actually need that. So why am I learning about it? We don't actually need those things. And this is where the future is free education. It's YouTube, it's Khan Academy, it's all these things, the Acton School, all these things that are coming out online now. You can go and watch MIT lectures now on YouTube and see the actual classes at Ivy League schools for free. So why would I pay $250,000 to go get this education when I can just watch on YouTube and see what's actually going on? I mean, we're going to look back. Again, I've made a lot of predictions lately. One of my predictions is going to be 50 years from now, 100 years from now. People are going to look back at us and absolutely laugh their ASS off. I mean, this is unbelievable. You would go to school, sit in a classroom from people that generally aren't even in the industry that they're doing and teaching, and we're going to go learn from a textbook that's years old. I mean, that in and of itself is just mind-boggling to even think about, that that's accepted and we as adults are okay with that. Again, have to learn about the history, have to learn what is actually happening. The Germans in 1930s sent their teachers to spread Marxism to Columbia, from the Frankfurt School to Columbia, to start spreading communism, Marxism here. These are all things that can be read about very easily. We have more access to any information we've ever had in human history, yet the population is dumber with all the education we have, all the information at our fingertips, search engines, you name it, books everywhere and anywhere, Audible, you'll be able to listen to books, for crying out loud. You've got them on your Kindle, ebook, you can read them anywhere. And we are now dumber as a population because of that, because of all these things. And just thinking we have it so good, apathy, and just being indifferent with life. That is our biggest downfall, will be the biggest downfall by far, is our apathy and indifference. Again, there's nothing wrong with being an employee, but the problem is most people aren't given the chance. They aren't even able to see the other side of this quadrant down here. We're just put into this employee or maybe self-employed or specialist category of being a doctor, being a lawyer, or being an employer and working for a company. That's what school teaches you to do. Just memorize. If you cooperate with someone, it's cheating. That is unbelievably insane. And I would have probably been a business owner or an investor had I known 20 years ago when I was a kid. Like that, it just made sense. When I read one of Kiyosaki's books with Donald Trump, Why We Want You to Be Rich, was one of the first books I read when I was a senior in Michigan State when the collapse was happening in 2008. And then over that next year or two, I found that book and it blew my mind open. And I got really ticked off, to be quite honest, because I didn't understand why I was never told this. Why was I never told your money could work for you and you can use leverage, you can build systems, you can build processes, and you can do things differently than how school taught you. And that really ticked me off. But it also gave me hope and gave me great joy to know, wow, and it connected with me. And I clicked right away with it because this is what I had always been looking for. This is why I was fighting with teachers, I was fighting with professors, fighting people constantly in the academia world because it made no sense. When are we going to learn about money? When are we going to learn how to write a check or balance a checkbook or balance a ledger, balance a sheet, assets and liabilities? When are we going to look at income statements? I mean, nothing, no response, fighting with me. Why would I learn things that have no variable or no real need in my life? It made zero sense. So we have to remove ourselves from that system. We have to remove, just because things have always been done a certain way doesn't mean they need to be continued that way. I think that's something we've been realizing, especially as a society the last 2 years. We do not have to keep going this direction. This is not something we need to continue going down if it's not making sense. So let's be smarter. Let's use our God-given abilities. Let's use our intellect. Let's use our intuition. Go check out the Cash Flow Quadrant. Robert Kiyosaki's books, his first couple of books, Rich Dad Poor Dad, Cash Flow Quadrant, and his Guide to Investing, those first 3 books are absolutely phenomenal. They're must-reads. Because maybe being an employee is great for you, but maybe it's not. Maybe you need to be on the right side of this quadrant. Maybe you need to be a big business owner and building a network, building a team, building systems. Or maybe you should be an investor and your income does not depend on active work and you're an investor using money to make other money. We all get slotted into this one thing and you're told you're stupid if you aren't good at tests. I was a horrible test taker. I think at my ACTs, I was halfway done with the test and you're like, you have 30 minutes left. I mean, come on. It's insane. I've pretty much doubled my net worth every year the last 6 years, 7 years. That's not because I went to school. It's not because I did well in the ACTs. It's when we're all fitted into the same little shoebox, of course people are going to look dumb. And they say only 20% of kids learn well by lecture and just sitting in a formal classroom setting. Think about that. So we're screwing over 80% of the kids just because that's the way it's been done for 100 years and that's the way they want to just churn out worker bees and just have everyone be these little robots we're walking around. And again, I know that's hard to hear, but truth hurts at the end of the day. In order to flip and change things, there's going to have to be truth in this world because there's not a lot of truth. And I hope people come tell me the truth and say, hey, Brandon, you're blind over here. You don't even see what's going on over here because I want to get better. I'm actively wanting to get better. But you know what? I damn well think that there's a lot of people that don't want to get better. They want the government to do everything for them. They want the government to do whatever the hell it is, drive their world into the ground, give them no choices, take care of them cradle to grave, and do everything in their life because they're just servants. They're just serfs. They're in slavery. And that's all it is. That's what the school system, that's what Marxism is. It's stripping you of all emotion, stripping you and just sedating you, giving you pills. Farmers got you pills coming on. Don't worry. The average American is on who knows how many different pills. And they're just going to be sedated and you're going to like it. I mean, read Brave New World. Read 1984. Read Archipelago Gulag or Gulag Archipelago. I mean, this is the world we are going into where people are just sedated robots. You're just a number, a cog in the system for a select few, few elites to go live their life, live lavishly, live like, what's his name in North Korea, live like Maduro or whatever his name, the guys, Venezuelan guys, the guys that are 500 pounds and these slobs, like King Herod back in the day in the Bible, they get to live like whatever they like because guess what? They aren't living by the rules. They're telling you the rules you should live by and they're telling you what's good for you and you believe them. Yet they go do whatever they want. Just like Al Gore ripping around on his private jet and all these morons going to Davos every single month, every single year, spewing carbon emissions all over the earth. But then they're going to tell you how you have to live your life. And you're going to set your thermostat at a certain temperature because this is what's good for the environment. And a made-up thing that they use to control all of us and control the economy and control. I mean, this is literally the most insane thing I've ever seen in my life. But most people are okay with it. Most people are okay just being a serf. Most people are okay just being run over and having someone else control their entire life and make no decisions for themselves and just getting the peanuts or whatever's left over, whatever the elites scrape off the table for you and just dump onto the floor. Like, here, have fun. Have at it, guys. Just mind-blowing. Absolutely mind-blowing. Please go read those books. Again, blew my mind. Connect with it right away because I got it. And I know that there's so many people that know something is wrong, have known something's wrong for a long time, but never knew what that thing was. Again, it's not your fault. As Robert Kiyosaki says, your banker doesn't care about what your report card says. He wants to see your financial statement. So the rich get richer. People get money that don't need money generally. But how do you get there? Well, most people are focused on the wrong thing. Like I said, in school they teach you just the income statement. There's three statements on your financial statement. There's an income statement, which is income and expense, maybe a budget. And most people don't have a budget, so they don't even have the first thing. And then so that's the first one, income and expense. And then there's the balance sheet, which is assets and liabilities, which is where your net worth comes from, assets minus liabilities. And your income minus your expense is your cash flow. And then you have your cash flow statement over here on the third statement, which shows you what's actually going on. So it takes into consideration your financing. Maybe you got loans. Maybe you had different things going on. So it shows you what you actually got at the end of the day. And so this is super important to have. And that's what your banker wants to see. They want to see because that's your financial IQ. This is telling you, the banker, hey, is this person actually a good risk? So the poor middle class just have a credit score. And the wealthy have financial statement. They have these 3 different financial statements. And it goes into one thing, basically, that, and every rental property, every business has financial statements. And again, that's the world that we're not taught in formal education. And we have to understand that in order to have the wealth that we're looking for, which is really, at the end of the day, your time. Do you want your own time, or do you want someone else controlling your time? That's all money is. Again, it's not your fault. The inflationary monetary system run by the central bankers has failed all of them, all of us. That's all it is. It's keeping on the hamster wheel, keeping you running and trying to pay tax to the tax man. All tax is theft. Simple. Don't worry, the private market would figure out the road system. The private market would figure out all these things. And if you don't believe me, let's try it. Let's do it. Let's figure it out. Because I'm sure it'd be dang better than the government taking care of the road, especially here in Michigan. So people get caught up in all that stuff. And even the founders, I mean, they wanted the roads and the military, which is like, okay, great. Maybe the government's just doing that. But like, then there you go, 1% tax rates. You can just take care of the military. We don't need these 20, 30, 40% tax rates. Just imagine the prosperity you'd have if all the private citizens had their money back in their pockets. Just imagine the GDP, the growth, the businesses being made, what the risk people would be taking. That is what would flourish in this system. This is what we had for 100 years, 150 years, from really 1770 or so up till early 1900s. And then we became this 1913, the Fed was started, and then the income tax was started that year as well. And then during the 1910s, things started ramping up a little bit, and in World War I, and then boom, 1920s hit, and you're at that 150-year mark of America, and boom, all of a sudden you've got these credit expansions and this craziness with the Federal Reserve, printing currency, taxing people, and boom, Great Depression. And now we've had these just massive booms and busts, and it gets more wild, it's going to get more wild. Now we're reaping what we've sown. We're in a massive, massive, massive bridge out, stop, all exits our past, and now we're about to live through it. We're about to live through catastrophe. And there's still time to get prepared. Food, energy, water, Bitcoin, gold, silver, get some land, get prepared. Remove yourself from the system, because it's coming, and it's going to be chaos. So remove yourself, but it's amazing, because that's opportunity. In great chaos comes great opportunity. As Jim Rohn talks about, Brian Tracy, Bob Proctor, they all talk about these things. The greatest personal development guys in the world. Earl Nightingale, Napoleon Hill. The greatest crisis, the greater the crisis, the greater opportunity. So how prepared are you going to be? Are you going to be able to buy a city block of real estate and with your 1 ounce gold coin, like they could in Germany in the 20s in the Weimar Republic? Are we going to be able to do that? Are you going to be able to do that? That's what I'm preparing for. Again, Marxists, through the government and academia, like we talked about the Frankfurt School coming over here in 1930, in the 30s, shipping them over here, have corrupted the system. Those teachers led to the 60s movement. So those kids they were teaching, they became that movement. And here we go. Now we see what we're reaping, what we sow. All the entitlement programs that sprouted up. We're seeing the hippie generation. So all those kids in the 60s, the Frankfurt School in the 30s and 40s, they started teaching all these kids. They became the 20 and 30-year-olds that became the hippie movement. Now all of those, the hippie movement, that we're a peak hippie bubble right now, as I say. And we're living through all those people in academia, running the government, running corporations, and we are living through that buildup right here to 2030, which is you'll own nothing and be happy. Klaus Schwab, the World Economic Forum. So it's the New World Order. We're not going to say what they really call it now, but it's the new monetary system. It's the New World Order. You're going to eat bugs. You're going to live, they're going to own everything. You're going to own nothing and be happy. So this is the cash flow statements, income statement, and the balance sheet. The three financial statements. You have to have these in order to understand what's truly going on. And again, if you want to loan money, whether it's from private money lenders or banks or whoever it is, you have to have those financial statements and get yours right here. You can go click this link on our blog and take you right to the financial statement. And again, I've customized mine over time. I've added a bunch of other numbers in there to track and stuff like that. And I look at it a couple times a week, at minimum once. And again, as Jim Rohn says, what you focus on grows. So looking at things like how much you keep, cash flow divided by your total income, adding up your passive and portfolio income, and dividing it by total income to see how much your money is working for you, how much goes towards housing, how much are you spending on doodads, and what are doodads. So it goes through all that so you can really get an eye on what's going on and what you are doing. What's your annual return on assets? How wealthy are you? I think that's one of the best ones. We've talked about this before, how to calculate your wealth. Well, here's the calculation to do it for you. Your rich dad assets. So down here, what are your rich dad total assets? And it'll divide it by your expenses. So that will give you, if you stopped working or lost your income, how long would you have to live and how much, basically in months. That's your real wealth. As we say, your wealth is your time. So how much time do you have? That's how wealth is calculated. How many months do you have to live without altering your lifestyle? keep educating, keep tracking. Rich Dad's Guide to Investing is an awesome book as well. Like I mentioned earlier, it goes through all the different financial numbers you should be keeping track of. There's a ton in there, so go check those out. You can flip through and honestly just see the numbers if you want, but it's an incredible book to read. So those first 3 books, like I said, of Kiyosaki's are amazing. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Cash Flow Quadrant, and Rich Dad's Guide to Investing. And again, the Donald Trump book and Kiyosaki book from, I believe it's 06 or 07, Why We Want You to Be Rich, is a phenomenal book as well. As the saying goes, once your formal education is completed, your real education begins. The answers are there. We have every bit of information we could ever want at our fingertips. Politicians and elites have made a mockery of capitalism and made many dependent on the system to buy votes and power. Again, we don't have capitalism or free markets. That was gone in 1913. We have, call it whatever you may, crony capitalism, creditism, consumerism. We have become complacent, lazy, and entitled. This is by design. Again, we talked about Brave New World in 1984, just sedating people with pills. And we have rampant mental problems, unfortunately, nowadays. And it's just people walking around like zombies with their head in the sand. That is by design. People that are dialed in and paying attention are independent, resilient, are quick to question the government. That is what they can't stand. That's what the elites cannot stand. You are supposed to sit down, shut up, and do what the elites tell you to do. That is the World Economic Forum to a T. That is Klaus Schwab. That is Bill Gates. That is all these people. That is all they are. You have to understand, as Morpheus says, is one of the greatest quotes of all time. Unfortunately, it comes from a movie. You have to understand most of these people are not ready to be unplugged. And many of them are so inured, so hopelessly dependent on the system, they will fight to protect it. Boy, is that true. Are you going to take the red pill or the blue pill? The red pill is truth. The red pill is freedom. Nothing is guaranteed in that world. Blue pill, well, you can just keep going, walking around like a zombie with your head in the sand. You decide. Who's running who? Our institutions are all running into bankruptcy, and most people say, well, the problem is just too big to solve. Come on, Brandon. What a sad way to live. There are answers to the problems if we are mature enough to find them. Our ancestors didn't sit down when the British came to take their livelihood, and we won't either. Yes, Bitcoin fixes this. Bitcoin is the parallel economy being built. Bitcoin is the life raft of the sinking ship in the middle of the dark night in the ocean. The asset that can strip the elites of the shackles they own over us. We will continue to let the very people causing the problems keep engineering the solutions? Stay strong. If you got anything out of this, please like and share. Please subscribe. Please let me know what you didn't like, what we can provide, any other education, what questions you have, what other things we can go into, what we're not doing well, how we can present things better. Please let us know. These are trying times. These are times that try men's soul, as Thomas Paine said in the Revolutionary War. Please, we need to stick together. Community is more important than ever now. Appreciate your time, your energy. It's the most important asset we have. Go check out some of our videos here. Looking at a bunch of our videos. Go check out what we just did in the last couple of days, is how Bitcoin solves you being frozen out of your accounts. Credit lockups are coming. I just talked to some of our clients. Credit lockups are coming in the system. The credit market freezes up, gas pumps stop, credit cards stop working, bank holidays, ATMs don't work. How are you going to prepare for that? We talk about these things all the time. So go check out the last couple of videos about deflation, that sinking feeling we have about inflation, understanding those two topics and why they're so important and what they actually mean. And again, how Bitcoin solves you being locked out of the system and you not having your wealth anymore. What happens when you go to open up your bank account, go to the ATM to take money out, and they say, nope, sorry, you can only take out $50 today, and then only $50 tomorrow. But I need 5,000. I need 1,000. Too bad. Well, that's happening all around the world right now. It's going to continue happening. It's going to come here. So we need to get prepared. Go check those videos out. Appreciate you. We'll see you on the next one.